Deborah Driscoll. Yes! We are going to go so crazy for Miss Deborah Driscoll. She's got to go up the steps. You see the storytellers up the steps around. You come from the backstage. Show her some story-loving magic. Thank you.
So my mother tells me that she spent a lot of time in emergency waiting rooms the year I was 2. Accident prone was the simple diagnosis. See, I seemed to be lost in imagination and up to mischief and always seemed to be in accidents. But the real diagnosis, the reasoning behind this behaviour, I was chasing fairies. Magic was my everyday, and the mystical realm was so real. In fact, to me, it still is. You see, I grew up, but I never grew out of magic. Like, I love it. Like, it's teasing, it's delightful, it's mysterious. You never know what magic is going to do. But I must say I was surprised the day magic turned up on the doorstep of my son's death. It was an ordinary day. I woke and I went to go and wake my son Sage to find that he had let go in the night. There was no warning, no heartbeat, a parent's worst nightmare, and now my extraordinary day. For almost 11 years, Sage and I had played in magic. I was the witch and he was the famous inventor. Oh, we wished upon dandelions, we activated positive thoughts, and it was Sage, my master teacher, who taught me to believe in my impossible dreams. Not very long before Sage died, I felt ready for a bit more love, like ready to open my heart. And so I started writing love spells. I began dating. I was hopeful. And then death came a-knocking and smashed my heart into tiny little pieces. But you see, what I figured out is a broken heart can never be closed. And an open heart, even one smashed into tiny little pieces, invites magic. In the moments and days and weeks after Sage died, I saw magic everywhere. The ordinary became the extraordinary. I would wish for sleep because in sleeping hours, that's when my spirit would rise and I'd go up to the heaven realm where magic lives. There was no pain, it was simple delight, and Sage was there and we got to play with angels. That was at night. By day, my earth-bound broken heart spent a lot of time with Thomas. You see, the love spells, they'd worked. And Thomas and I had been spending quite a bit of time. And, you know, he made me smile and feel grown-up kind of magic things. And at the time, Thomas was learning to be a death walker, somebody who cares for those who are dying or the dead. He was learning about the possibilities of love in grief. And as he was learning, he would share this learning with me. And so maybe it was magic that had drawn us together at this time. Maybe an angel had shifted our souls so that we could be together. Because I leaned on Thomas, and he tells me that he learnt from me. one of the mysteries at the time was my son's death. There was no diagnosis. Like they didn't know why. And so I permitted more tests, which meant that Sage's body was kept from me. I had to wait for 3 weeks. And then one day, I got word Sage's body was home. So I made arrangements to be with him that afternoon to prepare him for his final rest. I was clear. This was not a time to be shared. I was going alone. This was my time with Sage. And so I waited out the day, and the minutes stretched. And as they did, my body began to kind of float. And I suddenly felt like fearful, like going alone wasn't safe. And so I reached out and I called not to Sage, but to Thomas. And I said, help. He promised to hold me to the earth from a distance. As I went to go and see Sage, he was so beautiful, he was so still. I was alone and it was cold. I put him together for his final rest and I said goodbye as I prayed to angels. The time came too soon and it was time to separate from Sage, and gently I was pulled away as I was trying to put as much of my body and heart into the coffin as possible, and then Sage disappeared under wood. The next day I spoke to Thomas again and I thanked him for holding me to the earth, and he said, would you like to know what I saw? And I said, well, yeah, I didn't understand that there would be more to this story. And he said, I saw you. I saw you standing over Sage. I couldn't see your face, I could only see your back. But from your back, I saw magical angel wings, stretching far and wide, and then they folded in and they folded in over Sage. And so for that one moment, I was the angel I was praying to. Invisible to me, but seen by Thomas.